Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting from the Blue Note here in New York City. Blessing the band stage with a dynamic big band, the OJM, which hails out of Portugal, is guitarist, educator, as well as composer Kurt Rosenwinkel. Now, as you might know, Kurt has been a dynamo on the jazz scene as well as pop, as well as hip-hop scene for well over 25 years, backing the likes of the great Paul Motion, Brian Blade, Q-Tip, Donald Fagen, just to name the endless few. Tonight he's performing music with the OJM, which they recorded a project in 2012 entitled Our Secret World. I had a chance to sit down with Kurt to talk about how the big band is reflective of his compositions and how the big band interpreted his music. As well, I had a chance to speak with Pedro Guerres, who is also the composer as well as arranger and conductor of the OJM, to talk about how he interpreted the music for the big band to Kurt's music. And also Kurt and I talk about some of his reflections on some very important pivotal figures in jazz. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the sounds of Mr. Kurt Rosenwinkel with the OJM Big Band live here at the Blue Note. It's part of the Pace Report here in New York City.
Yeah, right.
Kurt, this is a very, very courageous project with the OJM Orchestra, and this project has been in the works since 2008, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a kind of a daunting experience at first to start playing with big bands. For me, I started to get called every once in a while to to go and play with big bands, and they would arrange my music, and it was a big challenge to figure out how, as a guitarist, you could have the energy and the focus of the sound to really lead a big band musically, to be the narrative voice, with all of that power behind you, and that's a challenging task,
You're talking about power, and when I think of guitar big bands, because there weren't too many done by the greats. I mean, Wes Montgomery did some stuff with Klaus Ogerman, which was ridiculous. And then I think Kenny Burrell, he did something with, I think, Richard Evans did the arrangements on. That's when he did his stuff with Chess Cadet Records. And I'm listening to this live, and I'm like, it really does complement the music that you have written over the years, and it complements what this band is probably orchestrating as far as your musical ideas.
I love this band. They one thing that kind of my experience with this whole big band thing was to go and do this kind of stuff with different big bands, and I was hoping I would find a band that really clicked, and I felt that the OJM band really did click. It was I felt comfortable with everybody as people on a human level, and I felt like Pedro and Carlos really understood my music and were able to bring it into the big band context that in a way that made me feel still at home with my own songs, and so that was the foundation for a really fruitful relationship.
Kurt, tell me about the writing process, because we see you with the quartet quintet, and it's a very different organic mix when you're playing with 2 to 3 people in the band, but you're playing with about 15 to 20 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're all so cool, I mean, I can have a rapport with each of them, and there's good vibrations coming back, and it's important because it's like it's me out there to a certain extent, and they're a group, and you want to feel supported, and they're all so cool, so it gives me the feeling of support that I think is important for me to feel, to be able to go out there and really play, in the way that you should, so it's been great getting to know them as people, and yeah. What was the question?
Pedro, could you tell me when this orchestra got together, and how did you guys reach out to Kurt to put this project together?
Oh, okay, we are a big band of composers, and we like a lot composition. So we did several previous collaborations with other musicians, and we thought that Kurt's music would be suitable to expand to a big band format, and we really wanted to try that. So we reached out to Kurt's agent, just asking, proposing to get him to Portugal and to work on his music, and that's what we did it.
You guys got together in 2008, and you guys have recorded this stellar recording. And tonight here at the Blue Note, it seems like you're playing to packed audiences, and it seems like you guys are really gelling, and also the music fans are really getting into the music.
Yeah, hopefully, yes. That's our final aim, right? Is that we get audiences and that we get public to listen to the music that we do. But most of all, I think this is a project that portrays Kurt's music on a different setting, which usually he plays in smaller combos, in smaller contexts, and with this. With a full palette of colors of Kurt's music, I think we really get a different sense of his music. So I think it's a great thing.
Arranging his music, that has to be a very, very important chore, because you're writing charts and arrangements for 15 people, more than that. How long did it take you guys to do that?
Oh wow! Well. In the beginning, we started doing 7 songs, just that, and we did more. We double it. We have now on our book 14. So, I mean, it took some time, and I don't know. I just did part of the arrangements. What I can talk is about me. Well, it took some time to do it, and especially trying to respect his music, what is there, and what can one add to his music. It's a really tough job, so try not to destroy it, and try to get the music out. That's basically what I try to do.
You know, the another thing that you have done successfully, and a lot of people are in the music industry are going into the mode of selling and producing and distributing their own music. And you did this project by whim of raising money for this project, but also tell everybody how hard and how easy it is to market your own work now, because the labels are pretty much coming to an end now, and you decided to take the bull by the horn.
Yeah, I actually, this record was made through my manager's record company, which I also share with him. It was originally started to release my music, and so it's kind of a 50-50 deal with him. But also now we've things have evolved, and I've actually started my own record label now called Hardcore Records, and that's a huge step, and it's very exciting to the idea of the potential of starting a new brand of music. And I don't really care that much about the and this may sound strange as a label owner to say, but the commercial aspects of it. I mean, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to try to do it right in all those aspects. But really, the thing I think that I've always had faith in my own career and now as a label owner is in the music. That this faith that if the music is good enough, then it's inevitable that it will sell, because it's whoever is going to hear it is going to like it, hopefully, and and then it's kind of built into the commercial aspect is built into the value of the integrity of the music, the quality of the music, So that's kind of my business model, and whatever the specifics are of the the lay of the land, commercially speaking, doesn't really, it's neither here nor there in a way, for me, because like if you start a label like Blue Note started a label, to just get the best music that's out there and create this brand, and then it could, there's no telling how far it could go. And so I'm really excited about being able to discover new talents and new artists and release my own records as well. So it's a very exciting time for me and this label, yeah. So
Kurt, I interviewed Raul Midon a couple of years ago, and when he moved here, someone gave him the solid advice that you have to be very, very different in order for you to be to stick out, one, and for people to pay attention to you. And you've developed a unique style, and you brought another vision to how you play the guitar. And I want to know how long it took you to get there, and what does it take to make other musicians to think in that aspect of trying to stick out but also creating their own unique style?
Yeah, I think the thing that I always think of when this topic comes up is something that Picasso said that really seems relevant to this topic. He said, don't worry about trying to find your own voice or your own personality, just try to draw a perfect circle. And, because you can't, the flaws in that circle, that's your voice, which is a beautiful thing because it's very vulnerable idea, but it's also beautiful because it suggests that we should be, instead of trying to find our own individuality as such, we should be trying to meditate on the ideal of what your ideal should be, to strive for the ideal, and then whatever happens along the way is like that's your voice. It's like just a sort of secondary result of that intention of that you want to strive for whatever you consider to be the ideal. Like, you know, how do you want to sound? How do you imagine music to be? You know,
because you know, you really did kind of turn the jazz scene upside down as far as guitarists, because you conceptualizing vocal as well as really kind of taking very different chords and kind of flipping it upside down, and that's okay to do that.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, you know, a lot of it for me comes from, I guess, my father. You know, he plays piano, and like he was just in Berlin at my place and sat down and played the piano, and just like he plays 3 bars, and it's like it just blows. It turns everything on its head. You know, like when I was growing up in Philly, that was the music that I was hearing at home. Him just improvising. You know, he just improvises. He'll have a Gershwin book of arranged piano music, and he'll kind of half read it, and then just go off on his own sort of revelries and tangents and making up sections and stuff like that, and playing these tunes that are like standards. You know, like he'll play Stella by Starlight or something like that, and then he'll just go off and make a whole new section of the song, you know. And so I think that that's something that has really influenced me, you know, that my dad's playing, you know. I don't know, I'm just trying to feel and hear the music, you know, and whatever happens, happens, you know. I mean, I was like, yesterday I was refamiliarizing myself with this repertoire, and it's been so long ago that I wrote this music that I was like, who wrote this stuff, man? What is this song, The Cloister? I was like, my God. So, I don't know. I've got no idea.
read something that was very interesting. One of your influences was Keith Jarrett's American Quartet. And I said, wow, I mean, that was some pretty heavy music that Keith Jarrett was playing, and that was some pretty heavy cats in his band. And I'm going to ask you, looking at Keith Jarrett, because he's an NEA jazz master now, and he's really one of the premier pianists and composers, what was it about that unit that enhanced what you're doing now?
Yeah, I really just love that music. I love everything Keith Jarrett has done, and the American Quartet has such an earthiness to it, and the compositions are just so beautiful. And there's something about the way that, you know, I mean, Paul Motion, his innovative way of playing, the way of playing that he innovated during that time is something that has come down to our generation of musicians, that has keys that are very important for how we play, you know. And so they'll play, you know, and it has to do with the freedom of Ornette Coleman's music, you know, and Dewey obviously was playing with Ornette, and Keith is coming from this very masterful pianistic place, but also this fierce improvisational rigor of dedication to improvisation, you know, and the combination of all those elements. And then Charlie's so folk, rooted in folk music and beautiful melodies, and also he played with Ornette obviously a lot, and there's a lot of bridges going on, I think, in Keith's quartet in the 70s that have a lot of serendipity to ways that you can associate with how to play, and a lot of lessons there, you know. And so,
because, you know, that group was diametrically different from that group he played with for Charles Lloyd. I mean, Charles Lloyd was a little more fiery, but this was, like you're saying, this had it was a very organic type of mind state when and as rigid as Keith Jarrett can be.
Right.
This was probably one of the most loosest groups that he's had.
Right. Yeah. And it's incredible to hear some of the compositions that they're dealing with, which are also very straight up, like chord melody relationships, you know, like in time, like you could play it in time, but they make the time elastic and they play it, but it's incredible to see how they still find the form within the improvisation, even though the improvisation is completely free, but the structure of the song is also still present or prevalent, you know, but they go kind of in and out of it, you know, and it's different from Ornette's music, because Ornette became more free and more free. It's a little like his first record, like you know, with the piano, with the pianist, Ornette's record with the pianist, you know. Well, I forget what that's called. I'm not a good names and places guy, you know. But you know, they like dealing with harmonic music, you know, chord melody relationships, and this way of playing that's very free is something that I think that Keith Jarrett's 70s quartet really like did in a way that unlocked a lot of secrets, you know, and a lot of keys to our generation that became like sort of touchstones of how to play, you know. It was we learned a lot from that, you know.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. Reporting from the Blue Note here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the talented Kurt Rosenwinkel for his time. Also members of the OJM Big Band. Also, I'd like to personally thank Mr. Pedro Guedes, who is the arranger of the OJM. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at the Blue Note for their warm hospitality. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column, as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.